Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be why the nice guy gets jerked around by women. Well, I got an email. This one is from a guy who is really new to my work. He obviously hasn't even gotten through the book yet. And what I liked about his email is that, for those of you that have been through the book and you know everything I've been through, and most of us guys experience the same things, especially when we're younger and we don't know any better. And you could tell this guy, he's a good dude. He wants to be a good guy. But the problem is he's doing what he thinks he needs to do in order to get this girl to like him, who probably did like him, but he's so soft and he always caves to her and she pushes him around that he's just kind of flailing all over the place. And she's just doing all kinds of little things, signs of disrespect. And he keeps coming back for more, doesn't call her out on it. And it's obvious she just doesn't respect him because he never stands up for himself and communicates what he wants. And when she doesn't treat him the way he wants, he just stands there and takes it and invites more of this non-romantic interest, if you will. So with that said, let's go through this email. He says, "Hey, Coach, I'm new to your work and I bought your book and read it just once." Well, quite frankly, after I've been through this email, it doesn't sound like this guy has even read it once. He says, "I am seeing an Indian girl who's 26, and I like her a lot because she's the only pretty girl that's talking to me. She works as a caregiver, hence she makes less money and makes me pay for each date." Maybe that's like a nanny or something like that. He says, I've been on 7 interesting dates over 2 months so far, and we have kissed and stayed in hotels. However, in the hotel, she wouldn't sleep with me, saying that she only does that when she's in a relationship. Meanwhile, the email success story that I went over yesterday, woman's religious. I don't go out on dates with guys unless I've known them and been talking to them for 6 weeks. She had a date set with another guy. He told her the only night he was available was the next night, and which was when she had a date with the other guy. So she breaks the date with the other guy and meets him for a date and then goes back to his house and sleeps with him. And then literally like a week or 2 later, she's begging him to marry her. And they're now married. I think it's been several years now that they've been together and they have a good relationship. But it just shows that a woman's interest and her attraction just cuts through everything. So despite her rules, when she really likes you, the rules go out the window for the alpha. But obviously, if you're acting like a beta like this guy does, you're going to get nowhere. So obviously, if you're in a hotel room and she's staying in a hotel, that tells me that she was willing and open to having sex with you, but you probably talked her out of liking it because you just communicated you didn't know what you were doing, and it would probably be weird and awkward afterwards. And she knew deep down you probably couldn't handle it because she's probably been with other guys that were acted just like you that couldn't handle it after they got a little taste of the poussoir. And if you're familiar with the book, then you would know 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You keep moving forward to seduce her, and then when you run into resistance, you take a step back. You go back to talking, getting her to open up, talk more. And then a little while later, you take another run at it. And each time, you get closer and closer until ultimately, you end up inside her. That's the whole purpose of seduction. He says, however, we kissed and got to second base. Now she told me she's seeing other guys as well and meets me once every 2 weeks. So you're kind of like her potential rotation, I guess. But you're not getting any. So she's obviously sleeping with the other guys, but not you. He says, after every date, she starts blowing up my phone and talking a lot about anything. Something also tells me about how other guys are screwing up, but she continues to use the dating apps. I did give her the signals wanting to be serious. In other words, I was acting like a woman and tried to lock her down, and that didn't go so well. Because your job in the courtship is just simply to create an opportunity for sex to happen, to hang out, to have fun, and to hook up. Not to try to get into a serious relationship with a woman who's not even having sex with you yet. And she told me she isn't anywhere close to being exclusive and we should just enjoy what she have. or what we have. So she's basically saying, pump the brakes, slow your roll. I'm not there yet. And this is part of the problem. He doesn't have any game. He's seen way too many that say you better, way too many movies and TV shows that say you better lock the girl down or else somebody else is going to come along and rip her off from you. So he does exactly what the movies and the TV tell him to do. And she's like, I'm just not there. So you have to understand that women fall in love slowly over time. And you're not even seducing her after 2 months. He says, she also told me to keep looking for more people and not to keep all my eggs in one basket. In other words, she's saying you should date other women because I'm dating other men. And therefore, because women help you when they like you. I mean, she obviously likes this guy. She's open to something happening. But it's obvious that he's got one-itis and he's focused only on her and he's not dating anybody else. He's probably even communicated that to her. And the reality is she would find you a lot more attractive if other women found you attractive and wanted to date and sleep with you. And you'd be cockier. You'd have more swagger if you had other women in your life. And so what's happened is you're kind of behind the 8 ball in this situation. You're already involved with her, and you've displayed all this weakness, and having some other women that you can practice what you're learning in the book with. Because obviously, when I read through this, you're like, oh, I've been through the book once. It's like 10 to 15 times, dude. You don't just read the book and like, okay, well, that solved that problem. Everything's fixed now. It's like, it's not how it works. You got to actually apply what's in the book, not continue doing the opposite. Because she keeps calling me 4 times a day, we do talk a lot. Well, the phone is for setting dates. And you shouldn't always answer her phone call. Let it go to voicemail and call her back a few hours later or text her back a few hours later and just make the next date. And if she won't make the date, she's like, oh, I just wanted to talk and see how you were. Just say, oh, I've been real jammed up. Love to see you. Well, figure out your schedule and get back to me. So the problem is you're turning into her therapist and her emotional tampon. But whenever we get too close, she starts pushing me away and fighting about something. Or you're probably starting arguments because you're mad you're not getting laid. She also asked me not to be mushy all the time. So you're basically acting like the chick in the relationship. And this is why you're getting nowhere. You're too soft and girly. And she's pointing out where you're acting weak. And even though you claim to have been through my book once, it's like, whew, it's going right over your head. This is why I say you got to read it 10 to 15 times. It's like you read the book and it doesn't seem like anything changed on your side. You have to recognize is you're acting like a woman. And so the sexual polarity is reversed here. She's acting like the strong, stoic man, and you're acting like an insecure little girl. As she says, you're too mushy all the time. So you're acting dopey. It's not attractive. Women don't want a dopey guy. Women want a guy who is selective, who has lots of choices and lots of options, and therefore he wants to make the best decision for himself. He's in no rush to get anywhere. And this guy's in a rush to lock her down, even though he hasn't even had sex with her yet. Sometimes she asks me not to smooch, as it will destroy her lipstick. So this tells me you're trying to kiss her when she's not ready to be kissed. It's obvious you have zero self-awareness, and you have no idea what's going on, and you can't even tell when she's ready to be kissed. So when one woman's ready to be kissed, she's going to be close to you. She's going to be bumping into you. She's going to be leaning into you. Maybe her knee is touching yours as you're sitting next to each other. Maybe she's exposing her neck to you. And if you're not sure, look at her lips, and then into her eyes, and then into her lips, and then back into her eyes again. And if at any point while you're doing that, she looks at your lips, then it means she's ready to be kissed. You're getting rejected because you have no idea what the hell's going on. And plus, you're not applying anything that's in the book. You're doing the opposite. He says, I went to her city to celebrate the new year. When I called her to say I'm excited to see you, she went on and on about how she does not feel excited at all. It's like, dude, you're just drooling all over this girl and you're ignoring the fact she's not reciprocating it. She said nothing excites her. No, it's just that you don't excite her because you act like too much of a beta male. I gave her a moon-shaped lamp with a greeting card for the new year. You don't buy presents for women that you're not sleeping with that are not your girlfriend or your wife. It's like a bribe for sex in a relationship. Just like a dopey guy trying to win her over with presents. It does not work, dude. Women only care about how they feel about you, not what a good guy you are or how nice the lamp and greeting card are that you got her. It means nothing. The only thing that women care about is how they feel about you. And she's telling you she ain't feeling it. And when she tells you that, you pursue harder instead of just backing off and letting her be. He says, with some food and drink, she was making out with me. After the London New Year fireworks were done, she told me she would leave me and catch up with her friends. I left her in front of a cafe. So you're spending New Year's Eve with this girl, and she's like, oh, I'm going to go hang out with my friends. See you later. Probably so she can meet up with Chad Thundercock, the guy she's actually having sex with. I left her in front of a cafe. Then 5 minutes later, she called me to come back. I went back, like the good little dopey love boy that he is. Man. She told me her friends will be late and they won't be there for 20 minutes. She asked me to go into the bar and get a drink for each of us. Really, get a drink for her. Come on, man. If I was already on the way home and she's like, oh, come back. I was like, why don't you come back with me to my hotel or come back with me to my place and hang out and celebrate tonight? And she says, no. He's like, all right, well, have a good night. Enjoy your New Year's with your friends. I would have dipped. I paid for her drink and dessert. Then she got on my ass about why I'm looking so tired. He says, I have a low vibe. She kept nagging me many times. And truth be told, I don't like being used as a backup for friends because she didn't want them to see me. Yeah, you got to have some self-respect, dude. You should have left. When somebody doesn't appreciate you or value you, you give them the gift of missing you permanently if need be. He says also, she should have kissed me during the fireworks, but to save her lipstick, she didn't kiss me. It's not to save her lipstick. It's that she just didn't want to kiss you, dude. Then we broke up. You weren't really together. Come on. He says, I am clueless. Was she using me for money? She was walking all over you and treating you like a doormat because you have no game and you act like a beta male. And plus, on top of that, you claim to have read the book, but you're literally doing the opposite of what the book teaches. So I don't think that you even read it, or maybe it just didn't sink in at all. He says she was 6 months away from her breakup, so she was just not ready. That's not true at all. What it really was that she's just not interested in dating you because you're so soft. You act like a girl. You don't act like a man. She acts more masculine than you do. If she liked me, why would she suggest me to date other girls? Because quite frankly, she doesn't think you have the balls to do it, number one. And number two, she would like you more if you had other choices and other options. But you're trying to be Mr. White Knight to a girl that's treating you like an afterthought and a backup and a guy who buys her things. It's like you're just completely not paying attention to reality. Maybe you read the book, but you're determined to continue acting the way that movies and TV taught you to act, and it's getting you nowhere except emptying your bank account and giving you blue balls. He says, I was not blowing up her phone or chasing. Well, you're acting dopey and like a chick. So there's no sexual polarity. So she doesn't respect you as a man. That's why she doesn't sleep with you. She doesn't think if you're not strong enough to stand up to her and put her in her place when she's out of line in a playful way, then there's no way she feels safe trusting your masculine core to lead her and be in a relationship with her. You're like the gay male girlfriend that buys her things and is the emotional tampon whenever she wants to talk, when she's feeling down because Chad Thundercock didn't come over and see her and rearrange her insides the night before. But how could I deal better with her calling me 4 times? Well, don't answer the phone all the time. Let it go to voicemail. Take your time getting back to her. She treats you like an afterthought and a low priority, so she should have the same low priority in your life. The quickest way to get somebody else's attention is to remove yours. And in this case, if she's calling you all the time, don't call or text her for any reason. And when she does reach out, don't sit on the phone like an emotional tampon. Talk to her and say, hey, well, let's get together and talk about it in person over dinner. Invite her to your place, make dinner together. If he's meeting in hotels, what does that mean? Maybe he lives with his parents, I don't know. As a man, you got to have a place to go with a woman. It's like, come on. So you got to figure that out. I mean, get a second job, a part-time job, get a little studio apartment. You got to figure it out. You got to be a competent man. And complain, oh, I can't afford it. It's like, well, then maybe you shouldn't be dating. You should get your life in order so you can at least pay your bills and put a roof over your head. You got to be a minimally competent dude and at least act like a man. And that's your problem. You're acting like a girl, so she's not feeling attraction to you. How to not get emotional when a girl is hot but aloof. Well, this is part of what being a man is all about, exercising emotional self-control. Dude, you've got to read the book 10 to 15 times, and you've got to learn it, and you've got to apply what's in it, not do the opposite. You may have read the book once, but nothing's changed in your behavior. So, and the other thing is you got to start dating other women. She's telling you what to do, what would turn her on. She knows if you were dating other women, and the possibility of losing you to another woman would make her more attracted to you. But you got one-itis, and you got this girl on a pedestal, and you treat her like a celebrity, and she's constantly treating you like a fan. It's so obvious. So you got to have some self-respect. Again, the whole purpose of a date is to hang out, to have fun, and to hook up. She's not your girlfriend. I wouldn't be meeting her. I mean, she doesn't even want you to meet her friends because she doesn't think highly enough of you to even introduce you to them. I mean, you should think about that and pay attention to that. That should tell you that she's really not that into it. You may be a 5 or a 6 in her eyes as far as interest, which means you can raise it, but you're going to have to start acting masculine. You can't act like a dopey little schoolgirl that's got a first crush in high school. This is just not going to get you anywhere. Except blue balls, stuck in friend zone permanently, and allowing this woman to just completely drain your wallet dry. You get her a nice buzz, and then she goes and meets Chad Thundercock to finish her off in the evening, and you go home and you're beating the bishop by yourself. You're hanging out with Rosie Palms and her 5 friends. It's not what you want. So if you got a question or a challenge and you'd like to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.